Hello, it's Anna Pacheco, SantaFe101.com. My guest today is Miles Conway, and he is the executive officer of the Santa Fe Home Builders Association. Miles, do I have your permission to record this interview?
You do, Ms. Pacheco. Thank you.
Well, great, terrific. So I know when we spoke maybe a month ago, you were telling me a little bit about when you got to Santa Fe. So I'd like to know a little bit about your background, what got you to Santa Fe, why you stayed in Santa Fe, and then your duties and your position with Santa Fe Home Builders Association. So take it away, Miles.
Sure. Well, it's great to be joining you on your show, Anna. Yeah, so my name is Miles. I am a product of the American West. I have many generations going back into Colorado and Wyoming, and grew up in a ski town in Colorado. So when me and my now wife, then girlfriend, first came to Santa Fe, I used to joke that it was so that we would have 4 seasons, because growing up in a ski town, it's just a lot of snow and a lot of winter, and when your house is at 11,000 feet. But the truth is that my wife had visited Santa Fe, and I had spent some time here growing up, and it's just a beautiful community and a beautiful part of the world. And there's definitely that benefit of having all 4 seasons: beautiful summers, fall, spring, and a lovely winter too. So that was just kind of how we came down here together in the early 90s, my wife and I. And we had some hardships when we first got to Santa Fe, but it just kept getting better and better and better. Love it down here.
And so how did you get involved in the home building trade?
Sure. So I'm not so much in the trade of home building, although I do dabble in trying to work on my house. I have a background in the labor movement. So I came out of New Mexico labor, really organizing men and women and helping them to improve their lives through the mechanism of their union. And so I was good at communicating and organizing people. And so our Santa Fe Area Home Builders Association were made up of 400 builder and associate members across really the 7 northern counties of New Mexico, kind of north and eastern counties. When they were looking for an executive officer, they needed somebody that was just good with people and could organize people and could help the builders, that trade craft, and all the associated members in the industry really receive some benefit for their membership dues. And that is akin to my background in the labor movement. So yeah, I've been here just right around a year, and it's really exciting. I love the folks that I work with here. I have a great team here. Tanya Dorme is here in the front office, and I'm back here at the far other end of the building, and I just get to work with people that just love working with their hands and creating a home spaces for folks, whether it's from the ground up or just remodeling something about the home. It's a very personal and intimate experience, I think, to be a builder and to help people kind of realize their vision for what they need in their home or to repair it. So it's a real honor to be sitting in this chair here and serving those members of our
Well, I can't believe it. You said that you have like 400 plus members. What are the 7 counties that these builders, where do they live and work?
Sure. So, of course, we have a lot of activity in the Santa Fe area, as you would expect. The construction industry here is just off the meter. It's really very busy right now. But we also represent our builder and associate members in San Miguel, Mora, Colfax County, Taos County, Rio Arriba, Los Alamos, and then back here in Santa Fe. So all those 7 counties.
And then, and you said, what are some of the member benefits? How does your organization help these builders?
Sure. So there's definitely a few pillars, and I'll just touch on a couple of them. First of all, there's an interesting thing in New Mexico that we created, builders created themselves in the very early 90s, and it's called Builders Trust. One of the reasons people come to the association and they find our builder member is because we're professionals and we're insured and we have like workers' compensation insurance and things like that. So way back in the early 90s, the builders came together by association at all of our associations around the state, and we formed our own self-insurance pool. And so when you call a member of a builders association in New Mexico, there's a very high likelihood that they get their workers' compensation insurance through something called Builders Trust. And that it's just a great workers' compensation insurance program, so that a contractor, they might have 10 guys on, or men and women, building a home through the summer months, but during the winter, they might not have that many employees because it might slow down. And so that Builders Trust program, their insurance rate rises and falls depending on their payroll, which is a good benefit for a builder. So that's really a core thing that we bring to the table for our builder members. But then beyond that, especially here in Santa Fe, I like to say we are the green sheep of the Home Builders Association family nationally. We are a federation. We have state and national bodies all over the country. And in Santa Fe particular, our association really embraced kind of the building sciences of efficiency and building green and sustainably, using natural materials where possible. And so we were an early association to embrace that trend of efficiency and building science. And we continue to this day. So our association has a little bit of a history with helping the Santa Fe city and the county and even the state kind of evolve its green building codes, which has become pretty important right now as we are looking to make our homes really ever more efficient and low cost for utilities, but then be responsive to the climate change. So our association brings a voice into that discussion on building science and efficiency. And it's an important thing to mention is that we are definitely involved in the politics of building. We have building codes, which are important, and we have so we always have to interact with the city and county and local governments so that our builders can go to work. That's always a challenge for us because an owner, I'm sure, as maybe you're a homeowner yourself, Anna, like when you want something fixed, you need it fixed now. You don't need your roof to be repaired months later. You need it fixed now during the monsoon season. And sometimes it's hard to get that permit from your city or the municipality you live in. And so we're always very active in that and trying to improve that process so that we can be responsive to homeowners' needs. So that's just three sort of the pillars that we're built on here at the association, but probably the most important one is just associating. We're members, we're builders. We learn from one another, and we like to get together with one another as much as we can, which has been a challenge the last year, but to really get together, build our teams, associate with one another, things of that nature.
And then getting back to the city of Santa Fe and the county, Santa Fe County. Now, when you build a house, are there like specific green codes, or are there things that every builder must comply with in to build a house in this county?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. So the New Mexico state, the state of New Mexico, just recently adopted what is called the 2018 International Energy Efficiency Codes. And so, the codes are constantly being rewritten every few years. There's always something in the works. So we don't adopt the codes immediately because what works in Washington, D.C. doesn't work here in New Mexico. But the state did just adopt the 2018 energy efficiency codes. The city of Santa Fe was already ahead of the curve. We've been building beyond the code of efficiency here in Santa Fe for quite some time. And again, our association played a role in developing those codes. And at the county, though, the county just last month adopted, I won't go into the weeds on it, but it's called an ERI rating, an energy residential efficiency code, if you will, of 61. And that score, lower means better. The lower the score goes, then the more efficient your house is, whether with energy that it uses and the energy that it protects, where it holds in heat or holds out heat. So yeah, when you go to build in Santa Fe, a new residential home construction, either here or in the county, you're going to be receiving a home that is very efficient. And we're talking about handing over a home to a new family with, utility bill. Just for an example, a utility bill, it's going to be between $30, $60, $70, really affordable, and even less in the summer months.
So what are some of these things, that are put in place? Is it like the windows? Is it the insulation? Is there more, are more houses being, are more solar panels being installed in houses, or what are some of the things that are being done that make these houses more energy efficient?
Yeah, so I'll give two quick examples. A small home, probably won't need a solar panel on it. Might not even need extra mechanical equipment to make it super efficient. Just
What's a
thicker
small home?
wall.
1,000 square feet,
Yeah,
17 square feet?
let's start with a 1,100 square foot home.
Okay.
A family that lives in that home that's newly constructed under the new code will be having a thicker wall, more insulation and more in the roof and more insulation in the walls. It depends how many windows you put in, but the windows now have a higher rating for how they take in heat or let cold out. So that's important. The mechanical equipment has really come along. So when you have something like a hot water recirculation system, so that when you turn on that tap, the water's hot already. You don't have to go through a couple gallons before it gets hot. That's a new piece of mechanical equipment we see on homes. There's on-demand hot water heaters. There's really extremely efficient furnaces for heating in the winter. So those are kind of the elements that you'll start to see in a small, modestly sized home. Now, a big home, modern thing, lots of glass in it. Those homes, if they're built in Santa Fe City or county today, they most assuredly will probably have a solar panel on them, because no matter how good you make a window, it's just not going to be terribly too efficient. It's going to let the cold out, it's going to let the heat in. And so those homes, naturally, as they're built in the modern home, just don't get the best energy efficiency rating. So how do we solve that? You pop some solar panels up on the roof, and then your home, essentially, if it's done right, can become a net zero home, meaning that it's really not sending out carbon. It's just doing a great job of energy efficiency. And of course, the solar panel is powering a lot of the home's electrical needs, and you build into that home mechanical equipment that runs on solar instead of gas or maybe the electricity we get from the utility. So that's exciting stuff that's happening. And the next thing that we need to tackle is water. Somebody said this, and I love it, is everybody in New Mexico has a perennial stream running, and it goes right underneath your house. It's called your gray water system, the water from your shower and your sink, and it can all be reused in your garden and stuff. So these are some of the exciting challenges we have before us. The house is becoming incredibly efficient, and next we'll head for really water efficiency. And
then what about the cost? So is it more expensive to build greener?
Mm-hmm. Not necessarily, and that's why I started with that small home. We just modeled a bunch of homes for the county when they were considering their ordinance. And we were able to show with, it's called Evergreen Building Solutions, David Best and Steven Onstad over there. They're great green building specialists. They do the inspections of the homes. They were able to model some homes built recently for Santa Fe County commissioners that just demonstrated that, hey, if you don't put in a million square feet of glass and you use modern building science to construct that home, you're really not looking at a very significant or any rise in construction cost at all for that single family home. So it can be done very efficiently.
And so these two things you just mentioned, so they would, so a contractor, somebody's building houses, then after they build the house, these inspectors go in and they sign off on their work and say, yeah, this is definitely green. Is that how it works out?
Yeah, they test the home by plans. They look at your plan and give you an anticipatory rating to say, as designed, this house will be this efficient and it will meet the new code. And then at the end, during the construction, they go back and they do some more testing to see, it's called a performance path, to see if this home is actually performing in the method at which it was designed. So yeah, it's real doable.
And what if you have a couple of builders out there and, they're just real old school and they don't want to do all that. They don't want to jump through all these hoops. Are they still required to do this as a licensed contractor? I mean, are there rules now that everybody has to follow?
There are rules. There's state rules, which is really applicable to most of the counties in New Mexico, all the counties. There's a few paths you can go through depending on what county you're in. But, if you're in Santa Fe County, you're in Santa Fe City, you'll be abiding by the state code and the city and the county code. And, but no, I mean, those old school builders, old school doesn't mean sloppy necessarily. There's some definitely
doing
some
things a certain way. I mean, there are people, they're just used to doing something a certain way, and they're just not agreeable to change. A lot of people are like that, I mean, so it's not that they do things sloppily. I'm just saying that they don't want to do it that way. I just wanted to know. Okay. So they do have to follow by these rules. You were saying at the beginning, at the start of this interview, that you're kind of like in New Mexico or in the country, we're kind of like leaders. Can you kind of expound on that? I mean, how are we energy efficient builders in the country, here in Santa Fe, northern New Mexico? Or tell me a little bit about that. So give us some bragging rights for New Mexico.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, if you're out there, listeners, your Santa Fe Area Home Builders Association members are really some of the most responsible and responsive in the nation in terms of how we handle water, how we are being responsive to the climate crisis, how we are building homes that are not only sustainable, but they bring a good value for that new family, that young family that's buying a home that expects it to build equity. They want to build a home that's going to build equity and not fall apart before the mortgage has been paid off. So yeah, whether it's figuring out how to put solar panels on roofs, even historic homes, we're doing that. Some of these, we have a 300-year-old home that being built in the 1700s that has solar panels on it. It's the neatest thing you'll ever see. So whether it's that energy usage, or whether it is incorporating really great water efficiency technology into the home. So, so you can have those trees around your house, but you don't have to pay an outrageous water bill, whether it's in the county out of a well and you're paying electricity, or whether it's paying city water rates.
But again, back to that original question, have we been recognized nationally, or you're just saying this, or has somebody in the country said, New Mexico's really on the ball there, or have we been recognized nationally for green building?
Yes, and we're participating in a lot of really interesting programs or congresses that get together on the national water conservation committees and so forth. Our builders are constantly recognized in different national or regional magazines for really doing some great work in sustainability and green building. It's in our wheelhouse.
We're getting to the end of the interview. So if anybody's watching this, of course, I'm going to post all your contact details and your website. If somebody was looking for a green builder, they would just go down the list and they'd have a lot to choose from. Or what would be the best way for them to choose somebody if they were looking at building a new home or remodeling, somebody who does green remodeling? What would be the best way to do that, through your organization?
Sure. Well, through our organization, you can come to our website. The easiest one to hear over the air here is just go to SantaFeParadeOfHomes.com. Our main website is SFAHBA, our acronym for the Santa Fe Area Home Builders Association. So SFAHBA.com. We have a Find a Pro tool on there, and we've been building it out for the last 6 months. It's getting better and better. And you can search for green builder or builder, remodeler, plumber, electrician, all those type of search terms. And you can start to meet some of the builders. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to, did I make a connection? Is this the builder that speaks to me? Because we have a lot of great builders. And it just comes down to that client and that homeowner of getting somebody on the phone and saying, nope, this is the person that I'd like to talk to. So get over to that website, and we're going to have a lot of fun events coming up where people will have an opportunity to meet the builders, seeing them on video or even on person. We're having some events coming up in the spring that we're holding outside.
Good. Well, I want to thank you again, Miles. Santa Fe Home Builders Association. Every time I do one of these interviews, I learn so much. So I want to thank you again.
Yeah, well, thanks for calling me, Anna. I look forward to seeing you in the future and in person, and stay safe. And thanks again for having me on your podcast.
You take care. Thank you.